So as we discussed in the last class, there are two types of filters which we are going to study in the unlock filters, passive filters as well as active filters. Let us first list out some difference between the active filters and passive filters. Then we'll look on for the designing part of the filters. So these filters will be containing components like op amp, transistor, and other active elements which are going to add some gain to the given input. So such type of filters, they are not only they are going to filter out the unwanted frequency, but also they are going to increase the strength of the signal. That is what the active filters actually will be doing. Coming to the passive filters, they'll be made up of resistor, inductor, and the capacitors. So as you know, this resistor, inductor, capacitors are the passive components. They'll be not adding any gain to the given input. They'll be just filtering out the unwanted frequencies. And active filters, since these active filters are adding some gain to the given input for a signal, obviously they need power supply for their operation. So first for op amp, you need plus VCC and minus VE. By just giving input, it will not turn on. For transistor also, it needs plus VCC and minus VE. By just giving the input, it will not turn on or it will not amplify. Since we expect a gain in active filters, we need to use a power supply, especially for those components. Here, since they are not capable of providing any power gain or voltage gain, so they don't need an external power supply for their working, because anyhow they are not going to give any additional gain. That's why. After this, if you are using active filters, then you need to have the feedback loops for withstanding or to adjust the higher gains and all. Otherwise, that might destroy the device. So for that purpose, feedback loops are needed in active filters. But here, since they are passive components, so they have an inherent capability to withstand large currents. When there is large currents also, it can withstand. So it doesn't require any feedback and they have better stability. Coming to this, they have some frequency limitations. So they have some frequency limitations because of the active elements, that is the components have some frequency limitation. They can work only till that frequency, like that. But when it comes to the passive filters, there is no such frequency limitations, because they are not going to use any active components. But one more advantage what we are having in active filters is they are compact. A single IC can do a lot of things. They're compact and less uh, heavy, that is low weight, and they can work with a high speed. So these are the advantages which we are having. But coming to this, since we tell there is presence of inductors, resistors, and all, automatically the passive filters becomes bulky, heavy, because inductor means coil, obviously they'll be heavy, and also there is one more drawback. They consume more power because they have a drop across them whenever you are transmitting, whenever you are giving an input signal, there will be more power drop, so power loss will be there, and they will be operating at low speed. So these are the disadvantages. Next, this can be fabricated on IC. So fabrication on IC is possible. Active filters or the circuits which are made up of active components can be easily fabricated on IC, and we can do bulk production where the cost will be reduced. But as you know that even we have studied this in electronic devices where uh, fabricating the resistors, inductors is not so easy, and fabricating the inductor is not possible. So that's why we tell it is difficult to fabricate. So when it is difficult to fabricate, obviously what we need to do is we need to use discrete components. When you use discrete component, automatically the size, cost, everything will be increased. So these are the different um, differences, many differences which we can see in active filters as well as the passive filters. After this, so this can be asked for 4 marks or 3 marks. List out the differences between active filters and the passive filters. So these are the different filters we are having, and obviously the advantages of active filters over the passive filters is, so first thing as we discussed in the differences itself, so they are having gain, they have gain, and we can adjust the frequency adjustment is possible, and there is no loading problem because it is having, as you know, that op amp or transistor or any amplifier, it will be having high input impedance and low output impedance. So because of this, the active filters will not cause any loading effect on the source or on the load. Then cost, as just now we discussed that it can be fabricated on IC and we can go for a bulk production, mass production, so which is going to make the cost of the IC is cheaper. Then size and weight. So obviously when we can make it on IC, its size will be compact and its weight will also be less. And there is no insertion loss. So because active components, they are not going to, uh, here we are not going to insert any different, because everything is in a compact form or in IC form. So we are not going to insert any other extra discrete components. So because of which there will be no insertion loss. And there are different active filters which we are going to discuss in this particular chapter. Among those, we are having the first one is the low pass filter, second one, the high pass filter, third one, the band pass filter, fourth one, band stop filter, fifth one, we call it as all pass filter. So these are the different filters which we are having, and this band stop filter, it is also known as band rejection or band reject or band elimination filter. So we need to study all these filters, that in first order and second order. First order means we'll have one pair of resistance and capacitance. Second order means we'll have two pair of resistance and capacitance. Now let us see First, on what basis we are going to classify this filters by just seeing the frequency response, how we can classify them, or we'll get an idea how actually this kind of filters have their response. Is my voice clear, or it's vibrating or something? There is some disturbance.
Yes, sir, it's
Clear, sir.
Clear. Okay. Because in
Yes,
one
sir.
of the last class video, I could see that I could hear there was some disturbance. That's why. Okay. Now, as we listed out, the first one is the low pass filter. So in low pass filter, as you can see that this is we are having three regions. Basically, when you take an amplifier, and if you have done the open-ended experiment last time in the AD lab, you had got a frequency response like this, and this was frequency versus gain, and you had plotted this frequency response over the similar graph sheet, and used to take 3 decibel downwards and used to mark a point here and here, and we were calling this as lower cutoff frequency and this is upper cutoff frequency. This is FL and this is FH, and this region, that is till FL, starting from 0 to FL, this region is known as lower cutoff region. This region which is between the lower cutoff to upper cutoff or higher cutoff, that is known as mid band region. Okay, between this point to this point, this point to this point, whatever we are having, that is known as the mid band region. After this, whatever the frequencies which we are getting or the region which we are having after this higher frequency uh, point, that region is known as upper cutoff region or higher cutoff region. Okay, so these are the three regions of operation we are having in the frequency response of the amplifier. Here also, since we are going to study the low pass, active low pass filters, and as you know, active low pass filters will have active components, and here the active component which we are using is op amp. So obviously, it is going to give some gain with respect to frequency. But our intention in the filtering is we need to allow only a signal or frequency of particular range. After that, that frequency should not be passed. So during that time, we are going to use to that op amp, the same inverting op amp, whatever we have studied, to the same inverting op amp, we are just going to add an resistor and capacitor, which is going to filter out the unwanted frequencies, and that is finally allowing only the range of frequency to which you are going to design, because the basic formula, you know, f is equal to 1 divided by 2 pi rc. So by properly choosing r and c value, you can choose the frequency range. Only till that level your frequency, the signal will be allowed. Only till that frequency the signals will be allowed. After that, everything that will be eliminated or it will be blocked. So now the few of them have confusion that whether this is higher, this is low, how we are going to remember lower uh, low pass filter and high pass filter, all those things. See, if it is low pass filter, initially it will be high, the gain will be high. If it is low, the low where it comes in this region, right? In this is the region where your lower cutoff region comes. If in that region the gain is maximum, and you can see that at the end you are getting upper cutoff or higher cutoff region. Okay, when you compare these two, this is a complete frequency response. This is frequency response with low pass, high pass, and all. So it is just the part by part we are discussing here, and here whatever I have written, this is the complete frequency response of the op amp. And this one we are going to split up based upon our requirement, whether we want higher frequency signal to pass or lower frequency signal to pass. Now, here, if our lower cutoff region is having maximum gain and our higher cutoff region or upper cutoff region is having the lesser gain or the gain is reducing, then it is known as low pass filter. Low pass, that means low frequency, it is going to pass through it. That's why it is having maximum gain at the initial frequencies, and you can see that this is the higher cutoff frequency fh, this one. After that it starts decreasing. Ideally speaking, see, ideally we are going to mark the frequency response, sorry, see, ideally we mark frequency response like this, like a rectangular box, but a rectangular curve. But actually, practically, we will not get like this. That is, it is going to whenever it is going to cross the lower cutoff frequency, there will be sudden increase in the gain. Whenever it reaches the upper cutoff frequency, it will suddenly decrease the gain. But this will not happen practically. It takes some time, as you know that because of the reverse recovery time problem, all those things. It takes some time to come back to its normal state. So for that purpose, instead of having a rectangular wave, we are going to have a slope like this. Now, this is known as the pass band. Pass band in the sense the frequency range which is going to be allowed to pass through the op amp, and that will be delivered across the output. And after this cutoff, there is cutoff point, whatever you are having, that is known as stop band. And one thing you should remember, in both of them, in both lower cutoff and higher cutoff, the midband region is considered. The midband region will be there. Okay. So only in low pass filter, we are going to ignore the upper cutoff frequency, but rest of the signal, this portion of the signal will be having the maximum gain. But in higher cutoff frequency, you can see that after FL, after the lower cutoff frequency, the gain will be maximum. It will be keep on maximum, and it will be at higher level. But till this range 0 to FL, the frequency will be lesser. So because it is under stop band, this high pass filter is going to filter out this lower frequency signal, because our intention is to pass only the high frequencies. Now coming to band pass filter frequency response. In this band pass frequency response, as I was telling now, you can see this ideal response, the dotted line. This is the ideal response. But practically, this is not practically we will be not getting like this. Will be getting like this. So here, pass band means it is not transmitting lower frequency nor higher frequency, nor it is not going to pass lower frequency signal or higher frequency signal. Between that, whatever the frequency we are having in this midband region, this is the midband region, what I told, right? This midband region, that midband region frequency or midband signal frequencies will be passed, and the low frequencies and higher frequencies both will be eliminated. They'll be stopped. So that's why it is known as stop band. This portion is stopped. This is stopped. This is pass band. Only this frequency is allowed. So this is known as the band pass filter frequency, which is going to pass the midband region frequency. Now, when you see to the other one, band rejection filter. The band rejection filter is exactly reverse of a band pass filter. It is going to allow low frequency signal, high frequency signal, but it is going to stop some set of frequencies which you are going to tune. So in if suppose the midband frequency, you don't want to transmit this midband frequency, then during that time the gain will go to zero. And again when you are going to reach the higher frequencies, then again the gain is increasing and that will be fast. Here just you understand one thing, gain is maximum means that signal will be transmitted with a good quality. If the gain is minimum means that signal will not reach the destination, because as we know, when the signal start transmitting, it is going to reduce its strength. It might be because of multiple reflections, interference which it is going to have in the air. But if the signal strength is maximum, during that time they are going to reach the destination. But your gain itself is minimum means then that signal is not going to reach, and obviously that signal is avoided to reach the destination. So this is what we are going to do here. Some set of frequencies which we don't want to transmit in between FL to FH. I don't want to transmit some set of frequencies. Then I'll use stop band filter. I want to transmit the midband frequencies, but I don't want to transmit lower frequencies or higher frequencies. Then I'll go for band pass filter frequencies. So these are the different frequency responses which we are having. And before going on to the actual definition, design, everything, can anyone tell me why the frequency response is lesser? Let me draw. See, here it is increasing, here it is decreasing, but here it is common, it is constant. May I know why? What makes them do so?
So that is the region where the frequency is allowed, sir, by the filter.
No. I'm not asking about filter. Leave out about filters. Forget about filter. I'm asking this is the amplifier frequency response. Okay. Without using any filters, you are getting this response, right? So I'm asking, what is the reason behind this? Why it is lesser here? Why it is more here? There should be something, right? Hmm? Anybody? No idea? See, whenever you are going to take the frequency response, this is the frequency response of an amplifier. Don't get confused that we are adding filters and all. Before, without adding filters, also, if you take just the voltage divider bias amplifier and you are trying to vary the frequency of the input and you are going to find out the gain, and if you plot it on a similar graph sheet, you will get a frequency response like this. Initially, the frequency response, the gain will be lesser because what is how you are going to find gain of an amplifier? How you are going to find the gain of an amplifier? Gain of an amplifier. What is the formula?
So output voltage by input voltage.
Output by input voltage.
Yes, output voltage by input voltage. So if the gain is increasing means, what does it indicate? Gain is increasing means what does it indicate? If gain
So
is decreasing means what does it indicate?
we are getting the output volt like the output voltage is increasing for the input voltage which you are giving. The output voltage is increasing along with the time.
Yes. Very good. So if gain is increasing means it indicates that the output voltage is more than the input voltage because V naught by V in. This is what the formula which we are going to use. So initially this gain will be lesser and slowly it starts increasing. After that it will be constant. Again it starts decreasing. We will take the center frequency and we are going to take when gain is in terms of decibel, we are going to take 3 dB downwards. Or if you are not going to take it in terms of decibel, then we will take 0.707 times the maximum value. Both are equal. If we convert the gain in dB, it is we take 3 dB downwards. If you are just taking 1 by root times of this value, then it is 0.707 times this value, that gives some gain. There you will be marking the horizontal line. Now, when you plot the vertical line, you will get as FL, FH. This portion where the gain is less, this is due to the presence of coupling and bypass capacitors. They can ask you this in Viva. So why you are getting lesser gain here and why you are having here. See, under this frequency range, there will be more reactance which is going to be exhibited by the coupling and bypass capacitor. The coupling capacitors and bypass capacitor, you know that coupling capacitor is used to filter out the unwanted signal, DC signal, when you are giving the input to the amplifier, and also at the output side also we add one more coupling capacitor so that it is going to filter out the DC and gives out only AC. And you know the bypass capacitor is the capacitor which you are going to connect it across the emitter terminal. So now, because of the presence of this coupling and bypass capacitors and also some the junction capacitors and all, these are going to offer more reactance. So when they offer more reactance, during that case, the gain will be lesser. The gain cannot go maximum. When the frequencies keep on increasing, during that time, automatically the reactance starts decreasing and the gain starts increasing, because you can see that okay, what is the formula for XC? What is the formula for XC?
1 divided by 2 pi FC.
1 divided by 2 pi FC, right? Or 1 divided by omega T. So you can see that when reactance and this frequency, how they are proportional. They're directly proportional or inversely proportional?
Inversely.
They're inversely proportional. So when frequency is lesser, what happens to the reactance? When
Increases.
this will be increasing. So when frequency starts increasing, automatically this starts decreasing. That's what happening here. When the frequency was lesser, the reactance is less. Reactance is more. But when frequencies keep on increasing, during that time, the gain starts increasing, because reactance is the opposition. Opposition is reduced means automatically the signal will increase and it is going to reach the maximum value. That region we call it as midband region. It is midband region, whatever we are having. Under this region or under this set of frequency range, there will be no effect of any kind of reactance. Almost all the reactance, capacitive reactance, junction capacitance, all the effects will be avoided. Since all of them will be avoided, they are going, the gain will be maximum. Just a minute. Okay. So now, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
in the midband region, the gain is maximum because there will be no effect of any kind of reactance in this particular region. After that, the gain starts decreasing, because when you cross some particular frequency range, during that time, the effect of here there will be no effect of this coupling, bypass, capacitors, all those things. But the effect of the parasitic capacitance, junction capacitance, gray capacitance. Because of all these capacitances, the reactance of these capacitances, the gain starts decreasing, because in this frequency range, this capacitances offers higher reactance. So these are the at the lower frequency range, we had coupling and bypass capacitors, and these are the components which we can see, because these are the external components which we have connected, because of which they are going to offer some reactance. But this parasitic or junction or stray, these are all the capacitors which are inbuilt, internal capacitance. See, because parasitic capacitance is an unavoidable capacitance, we tell. Whenever you are going to solder or whenever a junction is being formed, that is going to form a capacitance. A junction is formed means it is going to store some, it acts like a storage point. So it starts storing some charges. So that such kind of capacitances which we cannot avoid. If you want to avoid this parasitic capacitance, you should not connect. You should not create any node, which is not possible. In the same way, avoiding this parasitic capacitance is also not possible. Then junction capacitance. So as you know that the basic building block of the op amp is a transistor. Transistor's basic building block is what? PNP or NPN. May I know where actually this junction capacitance comes into picture? Where will be this junction capacitance?
So due to diodes,
Diode
In the
only.
PN junction, sir.
In the
FET,
PN
sir.
junction.
So between the barrier.
Yes, very good. This is more appropriate. Between the barrier. If you take NPN, this junction, as we have explained this many times, when you compare this to, this is a negative plate, this is a positive plate, and this dielectric medium, this junction is going to act as a dielectric medium. So this is going to uh, exhibit a capacitive behavior. Such type of capacitance is known as junction capacitance. Coming to the stray capacitance, these are stray capacitance or wiring capacitance. These are all the capacitance which are being exhibited by the wires or the other connectivity. So because of this reactances, the gain will be further reducing. Okay, this is the basic thing which you should know. That's why I have told all these things in detail. Again, in upcoming chapters, we'll be using it. So during that time, don't expect me to repeat the same thing again and again. Even if you remember those things, it will be helpful for your lab viva. Next topic, design of low pass filter. You can just look into the circuit. This portion. Only this portion you look in and tell me what kind of op amp it is. Only that highlighted part. You just look into that and tell me what kind of op amp it is.
So is it non-inverting?
Yes, it's non-inverting. Okay. So non-inverting op amp we are having. This non-inverting op amp, its duty, you know that it is going to add some gain to the given input signal. To this non-inverting op amp, we are adding resistor and capacitor. This is the filter. This is the filter. When you are going to add this to a non-inverting op amp, this becomes a low pass filter. Okay, no need of by hearting this or remembering this or practicing this. Just know it is a combination of resistor and capacitor along with an non-inverting op amp. Now, what is the difference between the low pass and high pass? In low pass filter, you will get a resistance in series with the input and capacitor will be in the parallel form. But in high pass filter, it will be just reverse, same circuit. This goes here, this comes here. If you exchange this, high pass, first capacitor will come, after that resistor will come. Low pass, first resistor will come, capacitor will come afterwards. Just for remembering, I will tell many times, for high pass means H, right? So you'll have capacitor. See, it looks like H only. capacitor will come to that resistor. Low pass, obviously opposite of that resistor. Like this you can remember, because if you just exchange them, the entire meaning and the concept will be different. So this is the combination which we are having. So this circuit, we are going to get this frequency response. Since it is going to filter out the higher frequencies, what happens here is when you are going to give the input signal here, the lower frequency signals are going to pass through this. Abhishek Gowda. Abhishek Gowda. Mute yourself. Abhishek Gowda. So now here, whenever input signal is being passed, all the higher frequency signals are going to pass through this capacitor. As you know that for as you know that the lower frequency signals can easily pass through the op amp, but the higher frequency signals is going to be passing through this capacitors, since it is going to offer the least resistance for the higher frequency signal. Now, all the lower frequency signals are going to pass through this, and again normal reason. And when the signal comes here, rest of the things is same as that of the non-inverting op amp. So we are having virtual ground concept in the same way. It is going to add the gain. What is the gain for this? It is 1 plus RF by R1. So this is the gain. RF and R1 are there, and since it is in non-inverting mode, the gain is this one. Now, already we know that the op amp is going to offer high input impedance and low output impedance. So this can, the gain can be obtained by using these two resistors, and for this we need to derive the equation for the gain, and the frequency response is as shown. When we consider this portion, this is actually a passive filter. This is a passive filter. If you just consider this resistor and capacitor, it is a passive filter. When you add an op amp to this passive filter, then it becomes active filter. If you have just resistor and capacitor without having this op amp, then it will be an passive filter. When you add an active element like op amp to this, then it becomes active filter. And RF and R1 are the two resistors which are going to add some gain to the input signal, and it is going to give it as output. So here, as we know, as we have already discussed about the non-inverting op amp derivation, in order to apply the main equation is as usual, V0 is equal to Vi into 1 plus Rf by R1. But this Vi is the one which we are getting here. But this Vi is not entirely coming over to the node A, because we are having a drop across R. So when we are having a drop across R, we need to find what is the voltage we are getting at this node A by by using the voltage divider rule. And here you can see, since this node is having a connection with respect to the capacitor and the other terminal of the capacitor is grounded, whatever the voltage we are having across the capacitor, the same voltage will exist across this node. Once you find out the voltage across A, after that, the same case, we need to apply the virtual ground concept and apply the formula here, and we tell VA is equal to VB, and we are going to substitute. So VA is the effective input voltage what you are going to get or what you are going to apply to the op amp. Okay. So that's why the first step is with respect to the voltage divider bias. Afterwards, we need to substitute for and we need to keep on substituting for the different values. And when you are going to apply any equation with respect to the capacitance, we know that we will be writing it in terms of reactance. So minus J XC, we represent capacitor by minus J XC, and as usual R will be as usual, and J XL if it is for inductor. These are the things which you already know. Just to brush it up, I did this. So if you know this, the next is apply the voltage divider rule at this point and start substituting JXC, R, everything, and start simplifying. Find out VA and substitute in this equation. Afterwards, V naught by that VA gives you the gain, and that will be the final equation. Okay, so that we can take it up in the next class, as we are having only 5 minutes. So it's a bit, it takes some time to derive.